The War Council chamber aboard the GCS Valiant smelled faintly of ozone and superiority. Blue-skinned, multi-eyed, and chitin-plated officers lined the semicircular dais, their polished uniforms stiff with medals. In the center, a glowing hologram of the planet Cry-This 9 flickered, spinning slowly. They still use projectile-based weaponry? Admiral Chu-Ren's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Surely this is satire? No satire, replied the human officer at the end of the table, folding her arms. Just results. Captain Riva Morales kept her tone calm, measured. She'd learned early not to give Galactic brass the satisfaction of seeing her irritated. They always expected humans to be emotional, impulsive, primitive. They weren't wrong, but they were also missing the point. A chuckle rippled through the alien ranks. High General Sarek, a tall, avian-like creature with a voice like cracked ice, tapped one claw against the table. Captain Morales, your human detachment will be dispatched to Cry-This 9 for routine recon. Scans show nose rocket presence. Minimal danger. We expect your ballistics will suffice. Riva raised an eyebrow. Glad to be of service, General. Outside the chamber, Riva's squad waited in the loading bay. Unimpressed by the grandeur, unimpressed by much at all. Sprocket was elbow-deep in an open crate, his curls held back with a welding band, and his jumpsuit already stained with oil. I told them not to stack EMP mines on top of toaster parts, he muttered. What if someone wants toast and localized electronic devastation? Private Nia DaCosta sat cross-legged nearby, sketching the Cry-This 9 topography into a tattered journal. We'll be the first humans back on the surface since the Zraku invasion. Imagine if we found survivors. Or peace symbols. Or, wait, is that a grenade in your hand? It's a toaster, Sprocket said. Mostly. The last member of the squad stood apart, leaning against a supply crate. Silent, unreadable. His name, if it ever was his, had long been replaced by a call sign. Whiskey, older than the others, face weathered and eyes shadowed behind polarized lenses. He cradled a long-range sniper rifle as though it were a living thing. He hadn't spoken in hours. Riva joined them, helmet under one arm. All right, misfits. We're heading to Cry-This 9. Routine sweep, according to Confederation. No expected hostiles. Translation, Sprocket said. They think we're expendable. More like invisible, Riva replied. They're too busy losing ground on 3 other fronts to care what we dig up. Let's make sure what we find matters. Peaceful ruins and hopeful stories, Nia said brightly. I'm manifesting it. Whiskey grunted. Possibly disagreement. Possibly indigestion. No one asked. Their dropship was a repurposed cargo hauler painted dull gray. The seats rattled, the straps chafed, and the AI had a sarcastic streak. Welcome aboard the stubborn mule. It chirped as they boarded. Please keep arms, legs, and existential despair inside the cabin at all times. As the ship detached from the Valiants and descended toward Cry-This 9, the squad fell into a practiced silence. Below them, the once thriving colony lay in ruin. Vegetation choked shattered buildings. Scorch marks streaked across empty streets. No signs of life, but no signs of death. The bodies didn't bleed. They leaked. A thick, iridescent gel that hissed faintly as it touched the cracked tile of the comms tower lobby. Riva crouched over the nearest Zraka scout, her expression unreadable behind her visor. The creature's carapace still twitched, as if unwilling to admit death. Confirmed, she said into her comms. Zraku presence active. Stealth adapted, possibly evolving again. Sprocket was already scanning the corpse with a handheld spectrometer. Not just evolving, adapting to us. This carapace has refractive layering, designed to scatter energy beams. Galactic plasma rifles are going to be even more useless than usual, Riva muttered. Lucky for us, Sprocket said with a smirk, tapping the barrel of his old model pulse carbine. We brought bullets. From the rooftop, Whiskey's voice cut in quiet and precise. Movement halted. No reinforcements yet. They were scouts. Or bait, Riva replied. This wasn't a recon mission. It's a reoccupation. Nia, peering from the stairwell, frowned. Then why hasn't the Confederation picked them up on scans? Sprocket's scanner beeped. He turned it toward the wall, then narrowed his eyes. Because the Zraku are using dampening fields. Look at this. Phase-shifted resonators embedded in the colony's power lines. They're using the infrastructure to hide their signal emissions, like termites in the wiring. Nia shuddered. That's brilliant. And terrifying. Not a great combo. Riva agreed. Pack up. We move out in 5. They swept the surrounding district, finding more signs of occupation. Strange markings burned into walls. Fluid trails leading underground. In a maintenance tunnel, Sprocket found the body of Galactic Scout. Eyes boiled out, his high-grade armor blackened from the inside. He fired first, Sprocket muttered, examining the scorch pattern. Zraku turned his own weapon against him, like they knew how it worked. Riva's jaw tightened. They're learning faster than we thought. As they moved, Nia fell back, lingering near a wall of old digital posters. Recruitment drives, evacuation orders, school announcements. She paused at a photo of a family. Faded but smiling, locked forever in a last moment of peace. We're not just fighting for territory, she whispered. We're fighting for what's left of us. Riva heard her but didn't reply. She didn't have time for philosophy. Not today. By late afternoon, they reached the colony's lower agricultural dome, once a thriving food production zone. Now it was something else. Thick green-black growths choked the walkways. The air was humid, rank with ammonia and fungal decay. Bioluminescent pods pulsed along the walls. This is new, Sprocket muttered, drawing his sidearm. Zraka don't build like this. Not usually. They're nesting, Riva said. Or worse, terraforming. We need intel. And we need a way out. Or a way up, Nia said, pointing to the central column of the dome, a control tower rising through the gloom. If we get higher, we can tap into the old satellite links, get a signal out. Whiskey's voice came through again, barely a whisper. 4 contacts. Moving fast. Closing. They took defensive positions amid rustic crates and hydroponic ruins. Riva's orders were crisp. Practiced. Sprocket mines. Nia, cover fire. Whiskey, do what you do. Sprocket lobbed a grenade rigged with nails and scrap metal toward the entry corridor. The explosion was messy, homemade, and brutally effective. When the first Zraka burst through the doorway, jaws wide, talons outstretched, it didn't even make it 5 steps. The next 2 were smarter. They moved through the side vents, but Whiskey caught them both. 1 shot per creature. Each impact made the sound of finality. The 4th, larger than the rest, leapt from above. It crashed down in front of Nia, who barely had time to scream. Riva was faster. Her boot hit the creature's side, knocking it off balance. A burst from her rifle split its skull. The creature twitched, then stilled. Nia panted, eyes wide. I almost... You didn't... Riva said. Focus. The squad pushed forward, reaching the base of the tower. Inside, rusted ladders spiraled upward, interspersed with shattered lifts. Who wants to go first? Sprocket asked. Whiskey slung his rifle and started climbing without a word. Riva watched him disappear into the shadows. Didn't even flip a coin. By the time the rest reached the top, Whiskey had set up a basic Overwatch nest. Sandbags from an emergency cache, an old telescope mount turned into a stabilizer. He was already scanning the distance. I've got nests, he said. South Ridge. West Gorge. Looks like 3 more pods forming. We're looking at hundreds. This isn't recon. It's pre-invasion. Then with a line, Riva said, the only one. Sprocket cracked his knuckles. Then I'd better get creative. He unpacked a dozen tools, components, wires, and 2 perfectly functional knives. Over the next hour, he converted a fusion battery into a long-range signal booster and cobbled together 2 makeshift drones using salvage fans and comm beacons. Low tech, he said proudly, but it'll scream loud enough to wake the Confederation's conscience. Maybe. Riva nodded. Do it. As the sun dipped below Cry-This Nine's dead horizon, the dome below began to glow, soft and green and full of malice. The Zraku weren't hiding anymore. They were gathering. "Signal's up," Sprocket reported. "But it's weak. I need 20 more minutes for the pulse to finish compiling." Riva turned to the others. "Then we buy him 20 minutes. Nia looked down at the alien hive growing below. "This isn't what I thought war would be like." "War never is," Riva said, "but it's where you learn who you really are." From behind them, a soft metallic click. Whiskey had loaded a fresh magazine. He lay prone, scope leveled, and for the first time, he spoke with something almost like anticipation. "Let's see if they're still laughing." Whiskey's first shot split the silence like a lightning bolt, sharp, precise, and final. One Zraka drone collapsed mid-leap, its body folding awkwardly as it tumbled into the fungal thickets below. The others hesitated just long enough for Riva to signal. "Suppressive fire. Keep them back." Nia took a deep breath, then leaned out from behind her cover, loosing a burst of kinetic rounds that chewed through the walkway leading to the tower. The alien chittering intensified. They didn't fear pain, but they feared uncertainty. And human weapons, still crude in their eyes, had just become unpredictable. Below, the hive pulsed faster. The structures grew, tendrils rising like claws toward the sky, wrapping around broken girders and ancient solar pylons. Sprocket stared at the display on his hack comms console, jaw tight. "Signal strength's increasing," he said. "Another 6 minutes. Maybe." Riva crouched beside him, rifle across her knees. "No, maybe. Sprocket, we need that message out." "You try compiling a quantum broadcast out of duct tape and spike," he muttered, fingers flying. Riva didn't smile, but a flicker of respect passed through her eyes. Sprocket wasn't a soldier. He was a tinker, a madman with a wrench. But right now, he was their lifeline. Outside, the Zraku launched their next wave. This time, they were coordinated. The creatures climbed the dome's walls in tight columns, flanking both east and west. Small groups darted ahead, probing for weaknesses, sacrificing themselves to learn. "They're testing us," Nia breathed. "They're adapting," Riva replied grimly. Whiskey switched targets seamlessly. Another shot, another corpse. But they were coming faster now. "I can't get them all," he said. "You don't have to," Riva replied, standing. "Just keep the leaders down." She leapt over a barrier and landed on a lower catwalk with practiced precision. Her rifle barked as she moved, clearing a path with brutal efficiency. Nia followed, reluctantly but determined. "Don't let her outbrave you," she muttered to herself. War is 40% fear, 60% impulse control. Together, they worked as a fluid unit, Riva drawing fire, Nia providing flank cover. The Zraku were relentless, but human unpredictability was something they couldn't quantify. Riva kicked a drone into a ventilation shaft, then ducked behind a rusted bulkhead. Whiskey status? 1 shot. Repositioning. From the upper tower, Whiskey rolled to a new angle and took aim. He wasn't just a sniper. He was a sculptor of chaos, shaping the battlefield one pressure point at a time. He didn't kill for the sake of it. He killed to create hesitation. A moment was all Riva needed. She dropped 2 more drones, reloaded in a heartbeat, and nodded to Nia. "Move. Clear left." They swept the west side. But from the east, a new shriek rose, a deeper tone layered with distortion. Sprocket flinched. "That's not a scout call," he said. "That's a command signal." He was right. From the shadows of the hive emerged a figure twice the size of the drones. Its exoskeleton plated with shimmering scales, its head crowned with twitching sensory stalks. It radiated authority. "Pack Alpha," Whiskey said. Target confirmed. "I'm going down there," Riva said. "Alone." Nia asked wide-eyed. "They expect us to fight as a unit. Let's show them what else we can do." Riva holstered her rifle and drew a pair of thermite grenades. She dropped into the lower atrium and ran full tilt toward the commander. The Zraku Alpha turned and screamed. She ducked its swipe, slid between its legs, and yanked free a chunk of wiring from a growth-covered conduit. Sparks flew. The creature turned fast, too fast, and caught Riva across the ribs with a clawed forelimb. She grunted, pain flaring, but jammed grenade directly under its thorax. Let's see you adapt to this. She dove backward just as the blast lit up the chamber. The Zraku Alpha convulsed, shrieked, and crumpled, half melted. Nia rushed down and dragged Reva back up the ramp. You're bleeding. Good. That means I'm still here. Sprocket's console pinged. Signal locked, he shouted. Pulse transmitting. Repeat, we are transmitting. They all froze, listening. The hum of the pulse started as a low rumble, then surged into a rising harmonic whine that echoed across the dome. A cascade of old satellites, long dormant, woke above them. A pulse of encoded data rode skyward, fast, desperate, undeniable. Galactic channels should be picking it up, Sprocket said, and they'll know it came from us. Reva wiped blood from her face. Now we just have to stay alive long enough for them to do something about it. Nia knelt beside her, still watching the hive. What if they don't come? Then we adapt, Reva said, like we always do. Behind them, Whiskey adjusted his rifle again. Movements paused. They're hesitating. Why? Nia asked. Sprocket looked up from his console. Because they just realized we're not fighting like soldiers. We're fighting like humans. The Zraka didn't understand unpredictability. They didn't understand someone like Whiskey, who'd waited patiently for hours just to pick off one leader. Or Reva, who turned injuries into opportunities. Or Sprocket, who built miracles out of broken parts. Or Nia, who saw hope in ruins. They weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting to matter. The hive quieted. For now, above them, distant flashes lit the sky. Confederation ships responding. Maybe, or something else. But whatever was coming, they would face it the same way. Together, improvising, refusing to go quietly. They came at dawn, silent as falling ash. The Zraka had retreated. They coiled, regrouped, and now they struck in total force, an organic tide of mandibles and metal-hard limbs that poured across Crytus 9's lower levels and surged up the tower like a living avalanche. Whiskey saw them first, of course. Whole swarms mobilizing. It's now or never. Reva stood slowly, her side wrapped in makeshift bandages, her rifle low in her hand. Then let's make never count. Below, the hive screamed. The tower shuddered with each impact as drones pounded at the supports. Panels groaned, cables snapped, and sparks lit the dim morning haze like a dying star. Sprocket slapped the last of his tools into a welded panel and kicked the jury-rig control box hard. Traps armed. I tied the dome's environmental systems to a feedback loop below the core, and the whole place flash boils. Nia blinked. That'll kill them, and probably us. Sprocket shrugged. Well, yeah, but with flair. No, Reva said. Not flare. Timing. She turned to Whiskey, who knelt at the tower's edge, lining up shots with the calm of a man clipping bonsai. You got 5 bullets left. Whiskey nodded once. 5. Use them right, Reva said. Make them count. And then the swarm came. Drones launched up the shaft, some leaping, others flying in short, violent arcs. Reva and Nia opened fire. Tight bursts, no wasted motion. They weren't trying to win. They were buying seconds. Seconds were survival now. Sprocket manned the console, watching gauges spike. Core pressures rising. If we trigger it now, we fry the dome. But no signal gets out. Then we wait. Reva said through clenched teeth, dragging another magazine from her vest. Hold them. A Zraka brute slammed into the barricade. Reva rammed her rifle under its chin and fired. It convulsed and collapsed, taking part of the wall with it. Wind screamed through the gap. Nia covered the hole with her back pressed to the rebar frame, shielding Sprocket with her body. Any time, Confederation, she shouted at the sky. Above them, nothing. No ships. No relief. Just roiling gray clouds and the echoes of a dying colony. Whiskey's voice came through, low and certain. 4. Another bullet. Another leader dropped. The advance faltered for a breath. But the swarm kept coming. 3. More bodies fell. More claws scrabbled for purchase. One creature lunged toward Reva, knocking her rifle away. They tumbled hard. The Zraka's blade-like limbs drove down and stopped. Nia had tackled it from behind, driving a knife into the soft gap in its thorax. It spasmed, then slid off, dead. "You owe me," Nia said, panting. "Put on my tab." "Two." Whiskey's voice, again, always steady, always exact. Then, finally, a chime from Sprocket's console. Signal confirmed. Remote ping inbound. They heard us. "Ships?" Riva asked. "No visuals. Could be drones. Could be anything. Doesn't matter," Riva said. "We've done enough." Sprocket, trigger the dome. "Are you sure?" "Human sure." He flipped the switch. All at once, the hive screamed, not from within, but from the walls, the air, the ground itself. Vents reversed, pressure surged, and moisture condensed into superheated steam. The fungal structures ruptured. Bioluminescent pods exploded like ruptured organs. The Zraku, built for adaptation, not panic, hesitated just a heartbeat too long. Then came the fire. From the base of the dome, the environmental core detonated. A wave of white-hot heat surged upward in a perfect bloom of annihilation. The tower swayed. Whiskey didn't move. One. He took the final shot as the Alpha, rebuilt, scorched, and maddened, rose from the flame. The bullet hit between its eyes, and the last laugh belonged to him. The blast caught the mid-evac. Sprocket yanked open a maintenance chute beneath the floor. "Down! Now!" They fell one after the other, sliding through rusted shafts and tangled wiring, chased by fire and fury. The world above collapsed. The dome cracked, then imploded, sucking the hive into a boiling tomb. They hit the ground hard, deep beneath the ruins. The emergency tunnel was dark, stifling, and silent, except for the distant echo of the explosion's aftermath. No one spoke for a while. Riva coughed, then sat up slowly. Sound off. Sprocket alive, came the strained voice. Nia, bruised, possibly immortal. A pause. "Whiskey?" Riva asked. A soft grunt. "Reloading." They laughed, half hysteria, half relief. Above them, the comms cracked again. A voice, metallic, formal. "UN Scout Unit. This is Galactic Command. We have received your beacon. Reinforcements en route. Stand by for evac coordinates." Riva leaned back against the cold concrete, eyes closed. "They're late, but they're coming," Nia said. "That," Sprocket added, "is new." Riva smiled, faint but real. "They won't laugh at our weapons again." "No," Whiskey said. "Now they'll study them." They sat in silence for a while longer. They weren't heroes. They weren't saviors. But they were human, adaptable, creative, relentless, and above all, still here.